Расскажите, пожалуйста, Болгария вступила в ЕС в 2007 году. Какой толчок это дало для развития страны? Какой, в принципе, толчок для Болгарии это послужило?
Bulgaria's EU membership was key in several aspects. First, it was about the general direction of the country. So, going back to Europe was kind of the slogan of the 90s. And the fact that Bulgaria became member in 2007 was a result of the desire of the society really to be part of the West. Secondly, it was of course about infrastructure. Bulgarian roads, Bulgarian you have the bridges, you have the schools which have been renovated and so on and so forth. So the infrastructure got a big boost. But I think the most important part was about rules. European laws and rules in terms of sanitation, in terms of security of production, in terms of in general the structure of the economy, the fact that a lot of the shadow businesses were eliminated, the fact that a lot of the ecological standards were implemented and so on.
Какие сферы жизни болгарского государства и болгарских граждан были приоритетом во вложениях от Европейского Союза и где достигнуты самые большие успехи?
Bulgarian economy, of course, coming out of socialism, first of all, needed to be reformed. That happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it turned out that a lot of the small and medium-sized enterprises needed a boost. And because of the internal market, most of those enterprises became part of the big European economy. And I would say were focused and are still focused around the production of the industrial heart of Europe, which is Germany. So the automotive industry, but also electric appliances and so on and so forth. So Bulgarian economy got a big boost through that. And here I'm not talking about European funds per se. The European funds were put into the infrastructure, but the investment from European companies created this new cluster of companies in Bulgaria. Secondly, tourism benefited as well. A lot of European tourists started coming not only from Central and Eastern Europe, because Bulgaria has been known to them as a tourist destination, but also from elsewhere. And you, of course, have also big changes in agriculture, because Bulgarian agriculture going through a reform, through a very difficult reform, had been in a bad shape in the 90s. Through the common agricultural policy, it got quite a big boost as well.
Понятно, что не всегда все бывает гладко и возникают сложности. С какими сложностями столкнулась Болгария в процессе евроинтеграции, и есть ли какие-то проблемы и сложные моменты из-за того, что она сейчас находится в Европейском Союзе?
I think the main difficulty is to sustain the momentum, because around 2007 the whole administration, the political elite, the society was mobilized behind the membership. Right now we take it for granted to a big extent. We have a lot of critique. To me, the biggest difficulty is probably the fact that we look at the EU a bit as a source of funds more than kind of a common cause, common fate, if you like. Of course, the political instability in Bulgaria that we have been through for the past couple of years is weakening Bulgaria's voice in the EU. But all in all, I think Bulgaria's membership in the EU has been a success story for the Bulgarian society. We have never lived as well, the purchasing power of the Bulgarian citizens has never been bigger, and Bulgarians travel, they can work wherever they like, they can study wherever they like, and in general, being part of the largest market in the world, but also being member of the richest union in the world is actually quite something.
Вы уже упомянули про голос Болгарии в Европейском Союзе, и мы знаем, что Болгария уступает по размеру той же Германии или другим членам и по населению. Позволяет ли все-таки нынешняя позиция играть существенную роль и влиять на политику Европейского Союза? То, что мы слышим часто голоса, что маленькие страны ничего не решают и к ним не прислушиваются.
This is the unique thing about the EU, that in the EU every member state has a vote, and every member state has a commissioner in the European Commission. Yes, of course, countries like Germany and France, who have been at the heart of the European integration, have more experience. They have also more weight regarding certain issues. But the fact is that when there is something of a national interest of the country, it's always kind of taken into account in the decisions of the European Union.
Мы все знаем, почему Молдова стремится и почему многие жители хотят попасть в Европейский Союз. Это толчок для развития, это повышение благосостояния. Но зачем Европейскому Союзу вступление Молдовы?
There are two ways to answer this. One is to say the EU needs to expand the space of freedom and prosperity, and clearly Russia's war in Ukraine showed that we cannot neglect countries in the East, because when we do that, it creates a vacuum, and there is always somebody to fill that vacuum. So this is the security imperative. But I would also say it is the enlargement that actually has made the EU evolve. A lot of the new instruments the EU has, a lot of the big successes the EU has have happened as a result of the enlargement. And in the case of Moldova, I think there are a couple of things that Moldova can offer as well, and it's from the Moldovan wine to the Moldovan young people.
Как вы думаете, какой реальный срок вступления Молдовы в Европейский Союз? Наше правительство планирует к 2030-му, но могут быть и другие мнения.
I would not want to say 2030 because it can be earlier or it can be later. It depends both on how quickly Moldova gets prepared and also on how much effort the EU puts into reforming itself for enlargement. But I think there are more and more voices in Europe who say, let's get this done quickly. And I think in the case of Moldova, it's also not going to be very difficult. It's not too big of a market. It's not a very complicated economy. So, I think if Moldova continues showing that it really wants to become part of Europe, the doors of the EU will be open when it comes to it.
Представим себе, что на референдуме 20 октября большая часть граждан скажет «нет». Как это повлияет на отношения Молдовы с Европейским Союзом и на поддержку, которую оказывает Европейский Союз в нашей стране?
This will be very unfortunate because this will give oxygen to all those Eurosceptics who say that the enlargement is not going to happen anyway. So I would probably think that for the EU it will be a moment when one would say, why should we make an effort if they don't want to be part of Europe anyway? But I really hope that it doesn't come to that. It's going to be a big loss for both sides anyway.
Господин Тагарев, сейчас сложные времена, все больше войн. Понятно, что Болгария входит в НАТО, это оборонительный блок, но как способствует безопасности Болгарии членство в Европейском Союзе?
The European Union also has its security policy, defense policy, and all the arrangements for legal arrangements for common response to threats, to aggression. So far, the European Union has also the ambition to have to be a strategically autonomous actor, but do not have yet all the mechanisms and organizations in place and the infrastructure in place to implement those legal arrangements. My view, I would tend to say that the Bulgarian view as well is that we see NATO as the main guarantor for our defense. Secondly, the European Union being by its foundational ambitions an economic union has a very important role to play in defense industries. Now, actually, there is a proposal for EU regulation that means a law on developing the defense industry, strengthening the supply chains, etc. And in that respect, the European Union is more important for the functioning of the defense industry. Industries also, NATO also contributes, okay, but EU is a more prominent player for us in that regard. But I would outline one more. These are the efforts to counter disinformation campaigns, propaganda, interference by third countries. The European Union can and is already making a very solid contribution in that regard, and it's a matter of the decision of the member states to increase the role of the European Union in that regard.
Республика Молдова подвергается масштабным гибридным атакам со стороны России. Насколько я знаю, Болгария тоже страдает от этого фактора. Как справляется ваша страна с этими угрозами?
We are not yet there. A lot more effort is needed to prevent the Russian influence. Of course, and I don't think that can succeed without effective security services that need to make sure that Russian influence through money laundering, financing political parties, financing media is still happening in the country. So a country needs, I would use the word comprehensive approach to deal with that. So we have certain success stories here and there, but by and far there's a long way to go.
Помогает ли сотрудничество с Европейским Союзом и другими европейскими странами в борьбе с вот этими гибридными угрозами, с атаками России? Координирует ли как-то Болгария с ними действия и помогает ли это в борьбе?
Many of our allies understand what the situation is here and are willing to help and are helping us. But at the end, it's a matter of consolidating the national effort to find the best solution of this problem. It cannot be solved from abroad.